Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the third webinar of our PH2O series, Next Gen Pharma Water, Transforming the Industry with Cutting-Edge Technologies. My name is Aparna, and I'm glad to have you all for today's session. I extend a warm welcome to our distinguished panelists who will be enlightening us through their discussions, experiences, and insights on today's topic. To begin with, I would like to introduce you to our panelist, Mr. Kanhaiya Mehrotra, Site Engineering Lead at GSK Pharmaceuticals India. In his experience spanning over 22 years in the pharmaceutical manufacturing and supply chain, Mr. Mehrotra has played a pivotal role across GSK's operations in India, UK, and Singapore, driving operational efficiency and innovation through his expertise within the company and in the pharmaceutical industry. He's joining us today from Nasik, India. Next, introducing Mr. Jochen Schmidt-Naubrod, fellow Process Utilities CRB Group GmbH. He has been a recognized industry thought leader in ultra-pure water systems for the pharmaceutical industry. His association with innovation and leading ultra-pure water system suppliers and a thorough understanding of the end-user needs have enabled him to propel the development of optimal water systems. Mr. Jochen joins us from Basel, Switzerland.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Sandeep Raktate, President Operations at Amneal Pharmaceuticals. During his rich experience of 30 years in the pharmaceutical industry, he has held prestigious roles at Cipla and Wockhardt and has acquired a profound knowledge of managing large-scale operations, driving manufacturing excellence, and leading strategic initiatives across global manufacturing networks. He joins us from New Jersey today. Mr. Raktate will be available for the first 45 minutes of this session due to prior commitments. However, we do encourage all our members who are watching us to share any questions that you may have during this time, and he will address any remaining queries via email afterwards. This webinar will be moderated by Mr. Hussain Kurawatwala, Lead Digital and Strategic Initiatives, CN Water. Since the beginning of his tenure at CN, he has been an integral part of conceptualizing and spearheading the company's business goals with a core emphasis on digitalization. In today's discussion, the panelists would highlight the role of technology in driving the evolution of pharma water. All the attendees are encouraged to share their views and questions during the Q&A segment at the end of the session. Kindly join me as I invite Mr. Hussain Kurawatwala to begin with today's discussion. Hussain, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Aparna. I want to express our sincere gratitude to our respected speakers who have taken the time out of their busy schedules to give us a holistic view of the cutting-edge technologies in the process utility space and enhance our understanding of the various developments in the field of pharma water. So starting with Sandeep, sir, from Amneal's standpoint, how has your approach to integrating technology and data helped optimize water system operations? Could you share any specific strategies or experiences?
Thanks, Hussain. I think very important questions. Basically, when you do anything on the digital part, it is very, very important that what is your goal, where you want to go for it. And I don't want to keep water system aside of all your digital actions. I think we need to see that what is your digital mapping across the plant. Let's take a plant where you want to go for this. What is your IT structure, OT structure, and IoT structure? And if it is a greenfield, it's an opportunity for you that you design from the day one. And even it's in brownfield, it is important that how you stack your structures, and water system is most important critical component of manufacturing. Obviously, injectable it's become more critical. For OSD, also it is one of the most critical part. So designing a water system is very, very critical. And obviously, the moment you design the water system, I think it is the integration with your black utility. So what I want to say, the black utility and clean utility, how we integrate, how we design it, that's very, very important. Because the moment you integrate, you build up the efficiency throughout the operations. And having a digitization into this, you create a shop floor to push for a data-driven decisions. And obviously compliance, what compliance you're looking for, because water system, is one of the favorite area for any regulators. So they deep dive into that and they see that data. So integration is very, very important, and the way you design it is very, very critical, Sid.
Thanks, Sandeep sir, for giving us a great intro on how we can, integrate technology and data, especially when it comes to, the kind of site it is, whether brownfield or greenfield. So now moving on to another multinational company operating in India. From GSK's perspective, what have been the most critical factors for effectively monitoring and managing water systems, especially when it comes to the adoption of emerging technologies such as AI and IoT? I
Yeah,
wanted to
hi.
ask this question to Kanayasa.
Yeah. Yeah, hi, Hussein. I think I just echo what Sandeep just mentioned. The biggest important factors of doing any digital journey is about first mapping and understanding why and what. Okay. Without that, it doesn't work. I mean, there has to be a business reason also for doing it, right? I mean, if I talk about the water systems challenges that we've got, right, we in any pharma industry, water is the heart of the whole processing, and we've got three water systems for three different dose forms that we've got. So the challenges we faced was about sudden breakdowns, data not available, spare parts not available, not understanding the optimum utilizations of information of how do we do it. There was a lot of manual process and manual collection of data. Reports would come later. Troubleshooting happened 3-4 days. So this is where I think AI and data acquisition from these systems come into play. So when we started this journey last year, I mean early this year, of first of all we integrated the three systems into one SCADA system, and we have one system to monitor all of our three purified system, and then started collecting data, analyzing data. So the collection of data became from manual to digital, always available, real time data, and then analyzing to understand how the performance of the line is happening so that we could take predictive actions instead of breakdown actions. So that has been the key factors, Shane.
So now moving on to a more international perspective, Yukin sir, could you share your thoughts on emerging technologies that you see having most impact on utility management in the pharmaceutical industry?
Yes, of course. In addition to the main topic of the seminar, we currently have, and I can only speak from the European and maybe a little bit from the American perspective. I have no real clue what's going on in the world with regard to the system, equipment, how they look like. But at the moment in Europe, we see a clear development towards membrane-based WFI systems, including replacement of existing systems because of the sustainability driven market at the moment. So especially in Europe, Germany, we have the sustainability pressure is high. So where maybe 2-3 years ago, the quality assurance said, no, we don't switch from distillation to membrane based, but because for regulatory reasons, nowadays the sustainability pressure is higher than these concerns, and many companies are switching and make good experiences as far as I know. And in my view, with the gained experience in the next years, the distillation will be replaced step by step. Maybe in Europe sooner than elsewhere, but the advantages are that clear that it will happen, especially from the sustainability point of view. And when we generate WFI with ambient temperatures, we have to ask ourselves, can we use it for cleaning processes already ambient, not hot? Or we have an additional demand of ambient WFI, especially caused by the growing biotech industry. So we will have more ambient WFI storage and distribution systems, and then we have to discuss how to sanitize them. And this will, of course, lead to an increased use of ozone as a sanitizer for ambient systems. And the next very interesting step is with regard to sustainability, heat recovery, energy recovery from the plant, which is step by step implemented. So we use excess heat to generate hot WI out of the ambient WI, e.g. from processes, excess heat from processes, sterilizers, compressors, refrigeration systems, and anything else which creates excess heat, using heat pumps to increase the temperature that we can heat up the ambient WI to 80 plus degrees. And the next step, what has maybe, in my opinion, nobody done yet, but it's in a real discussion. So the process water reclaim. So we think about recycling of final rinse water in front of the generation system, and this will also save a lot of water. And the water quality, maybe we use just a filter system or an additional reverse osmosis to reclaim it, as many others in the industries are doing this already. So in the semiconductor industry, a reclaim plant has the same value as a makeup plant. So the costs are the same because they reclaim the water, they use a lot of water. So that's maybe the next step. But this is an interesting step because we have the requirement, we need to feed a generation system with drinking water quality. So we have maybe the regulatory has to be adapted a bit to make it makes it easier to comply with the regulations. Next slide, please. Just a second. I cannot see the slide deck. I have to switch by myself. So, and of course, the other mega trend is the Pharma 4.0. Since the European water treatment systems are already relatively far digitalized and with a lot of monitoring devices inside, online monitoring, TOC connectivity, etc. The main topic at the moment is the real-time monitoring of the microbiological quality parameters. So we discuss at the moment the implementation of online water bioburden analyzers, OWBA, for the bacteria count to replace the plate count methods, and the recombinant factor C test for endotoxin to replace the LAL test, which is normally used at the moment. And of course, since we looking for sustainability, we need to know what happens in the system. So we start to measure the energy consumption and media consumption of a water generation system, so that we have maybe produced 1,000 cubic meters of WI, and we exactly know how many black steam we have used, how much energy, to get a clear picture of what's happening in such a system, because we lose a lot of water in standby phases or recirculation. And so this gives us a clearer picture of what's going on, and raw data for AI to improve the system operation, for example. So Internet of Things is clear, network of interconnected system, devices, sensors, and so on. And there are already some companies, they create of their digital twins of their storage and distribution systems to make user point management, to try find out or to prepare a system to react on a big user, for example, when he opens, that the system is already prepared and adapted.
Thanks a lot, Jochen sir, for a good understanding of two great mega trends that are driving technological adoption in the industry, namely sustainability and digitization. But now that we've set a baseline for some of these cutting edge technologies, let's move on to implementation. So, Sandeep sir, I want to start with you. What KPIs should companies use to measure success and ROI of digital transformation projects, especially when it comes to clean utility management?
Yeah, sure. So historically, all of us know that the WFI system has primarily been introduced using multiple effective distillation column. Now is moving to vapor compression distillation column. So, and same way in ROEDI, like the PW generation, you've seen a transformation starting from ion exchange to ROEDI, and so it's an integrated system what we are talking right now. So first of all, I think the most important part I will urge everyone to see water system is like an aseptic area. You should not take it as an isolation case. When you talk about ROI and when you talk about investment and the return of investment, And why so? Because even you use for OSD, it's the most critical component. The moment it is down for a day or a week, your whole plant comes on halt. The whole business comes on halt. It's not only the business, the purpose to serve the society for essential drugs is getting halt. So keep in mind always that water system is the first one, the most critical component in the plan to make sure that it designed rightly, maintained healthy, and sustained throughout the operations, right? But if you just deep dive into the ROI point of view, like what are the ROIs we can look for? Obviously, one is an operational efficiency. What are the efficiency you're bringing? Because it's not a standalone system. Again, I want to go back. My black utility, my clean utility, how I integrate, how I atomize from the day one. If not the day one, you still have a brownfield. You have an opportunity. So operational efficiency while integrating using various tools. Now you can use an IoT tool from the beginning itself, or you can get it modified. So one is an operational efficiency. Second is, Hossein talk about this, and part of that Kanaya covered, like contamination rate monitoring, like what are the design control you put into that to make sure that you are not landing up with, any microbial contamination issues, the way you design the samplings, the technique for the sampling. So overall quality assurance point of view, I think you need to see that any contaminations, what is the cost of that contaminations, right? To calculate the overall impact on the system and the production as well as the business. Uh, Regulatory part of right? Nowadays, auditor mainly focus on the water systems. If they go into that, they see the real-time data. The moment any regulators go through a system, one point of truth of the data. If they go through the system and they see the data is available with trends, alarm management, the stoppages, efficiencies, written loop parameters, the worst case sampling. So that gives a lot of confidence to the regulators that kind of a system and kind of controls in the water systems are there. Uh, Obviously, on other part, like how you manage the data, what are the sustainability? I think sustainability is another key area. Like everyone will look forward now. What are the energy consumption? What is the carbon emissions? What is the GHG emissions? And obviously, how we become a water positive, right? What is the rate of rejection and what is the productivity of your water system throughout, which has an impact to the your plant and impact to the environment. That's going to be one of the key factors to calculate on the ROI. And as a part of continuous improvement and innovation, it is important. So I think these are the area, but I still urge that water system is most critical component. So treat it in like an aseptic area and see that from aseptic point of view. I think you will get a best of ROI out of this. So send back to you.
Thanks a lot, Sandeep sir, for giving us a thorough understanding of the way you calculate ROI on such digital transformation projects. Obviously, with such projects, they are not, uh, not very not activities that are to be done lightly, and there is definitely a proper vision that needs to be set. So my next question is to Kanaya sir. You talked about starting the journey earlier this year. I just wanted to wanted to ask you if you can, provide some more details on the journey in terms of short case study.
I've touched upon this when I said the key factors of any digital journey is why, right? And how AI and monitoring is helping us. So there has been a clear benefits for us, right? Our manual data collection has moved to continuous data collection. Our monthly reporting, which used to take a lot of time, we now have online real-time data analytics instead of waiting for monthly report. The troubleshooting, which used to take 2 3 days, is being done in 15 20 minutes. We had no way to predict failures. We were always based out of breakdown maintenance. So now we have can predict. We have features of alarm analysis, whereby we can connect the dots between the multiple alarms and understand what's going wrong, and how do we correct and address the root cause. Then obviously we can have real-time data, which helps in terms of taking any corrective actions, or optimizing the process, whereby we come to know how and best way to operate it. So if you go to the next slide, I will just talk about more of a very simple architecture. So how did we achieve this, right? So obviously we partner with CN Tech to make this happen for us. So our PLC, so data and the management through PLC and HMI was already there. And as I mentioned, we have purified water systems for 3 different dose forms. And this was all connected through an IPC and SCADA. But it did not have the intelligence features that we talked about. So if we talk about, we started pulling the data through a uh, wireless through the IoT sensors and IoT gateway into a secure cloud server of CN provided by CN Tech. Obviously, we went through a lot of cybersecurity, OT security features to ensure that this is quite secure and not prone to any cyber attack, which is always the threat that we live in today. Whenever you move into the AI world, this is one threat that we need to be very cautious and conscious about. And we as a group, we tried our best in terms of ensuring all the security features in place. And once this took place, we have started. We have an app, and we also have a facility to monitor this real-time data anywhere onto the systems. Like even today, I am not being present in the purified water system, I can monitor the data and have it on my desktop. So that's really helped. If we go to the next slide, I'll just quickly share an example of how the data analysis and data collection have started giving very important insights. So if I talk about that, we had multiple alarms, and because of the intelligence, there was a output, or a root causing of it. So if I talk about the alarm, which is numbered as LT301, the tank level was very, very low. This was triggered because there was excessive water consumption in production. Now, why this consumption happened and how do we optimize it? So we were able to therefore go back and correct the situation, and ensured what went wrong in the production, so that we come back and fix this. We saw that there was high alarms in Septron inlet pressure, and also the concentrate high pressure. And this was triggered, and the input and the insight we got, that this was triggered due to the EDI outlet valve malfunction. We could have not done it without the help of this tool and this data collection. So this immediately helped us to rectify this before it could end up into breakdowns. And and we have collectively in the pharma world, we know that without purified water, everything stops. Your manufacturing stops. Your supply chain can get impacted. So I think it has been a great. I would say value addition to us. This is to me a real KPI of the ROI, which Sandeep was talking about. Thank you, Hussein. Over to you.
Thank you, Kanaya sir, for really explaining how it's and just making it real for the audience how this has actually added value to you. So my next question is to Jochen sir. As we talk about all these new advancements such as IoT, RMM, cytometry, what do you see as the key challenges in implementation of these technologies, especially within the pharma industry? And I'd like to focus more on the rapid microbiological methods.
Okay, we we used to operate TOC measurements and conductivity measurements and have an online control about the situation in the systems. And the only last or relevant time-consuming test method is the plate count bacteria tests, which have to be done in the laboratory, and the result is given 5 days later. So when you have a microbiological problems, you know it 5 days later. So the next step with regard to full picture of a water treatment system is an online bacteria counter. And there are some developed at the moment, and this is currently discussed how to implement this to replace also the plate count methods for the release of the product. Even this is the final goal, that we don't want to take samples and gain the bacteria, grow the bacteria on plates. And therefore, this is the final goal. But we are in a very early step of this development phase. So we are currently working to get validated systems and regulatory approval, so that we ensure that we meet the stringent regulatory requirements and gain acceptance from the authorities. Current problem is that we have no method standardization with regard to the online bacteria counter. So we have different technologies to evaluate these microbiological water quality. There's the flow cytometry, laser-induced fluorescence, enzymatic activity, and ATP, 4 different methods with pros and cons for all of them, and different units. It's not a count per ml as we used to have it in the past. We have the limit value, and then we have 50, 60, or I don't know, better 5 CFUs per ml. And this is one of the issues we have at the moment. And of course, these devices are not for nothing. They have relatively high costs for the initial investment. You have to calculate with about $100,000 plus to install such a system. And there are also consumables, especially, for example, in the flow cytometry, you need some colored solutions to color the bacteria before you count them. And there are also running costs, but finally, I think under the bottom line, we can save a lot of money when we get rid of the laboratory methods. That's one topic. And the other reason for this technology is that we can gain a full picture of the situation. So we can measure downstream reverse osmosis. So we can identify immediately a change in the microbiological water quality and can act immediately while doing a hot water sanitization or something else. So this is another big advantage. And another reason or problem is that we find much more bacteria than before on the plate method. So because we count also the viable but non-culturable bacteria. So not every bacteria in the water is able to grow and to grow on a plate. It's only a small part able to create a colony on a plate count. And so therefore we measure 5 to 10 times more bacteria than before. So we have to find new limit values, and this is a big problem. And depending on the measuring method, on the other hand. So and then maybe the last challenge, but this is specific to some methods, that we have the risk of false positives due to particles. When they have their self-fluorescence is on the same level in the bacteria, we may count particles as a bacteria. So for example, when you have PTFE particles from seals or ruching in the system, there is a risk of false positive. So there are a lot of challenges, as you can see, but nevertheless, people try to evaluate these technologies, have test plans, and so we will, the pharmaceutical industry is slow and conservative. It will take time, but it's on the way.
Thanks, Yukin sir. I wanted to stay with you, and I just wanted to ask you, as digital technologies evolve, how do you see the regulatory frameworks adapting? And you had previously, hinted towards that, but I just wanted to, elaborate a bit on that aspect.
Yeah, the regulatory situation is at the moment in following situation that we have sections already about the rapid microbiological methods in the European Pharmacopoeia and in the USP, addressing the application, what they expect in when you like to implement such an application, and how to validate such an RMM. And there are some sections to RMM by the FDA informations, ICH and PDA have given additional information. So you can see, it seems like that the implementation of RMMs is mainly driven by the Western world at the moment. So the US and the European Pharmacopoeia, and therefore it's a hot topic in our area. And and with regard to the regulatory, there is, I see at the moment a certain risk that not the quality of the measuring method will be favored by from the regulatory requirements. So maybe not the best method, but the one with the greatest market power in the network, because we are doing business, so the decision criteria are manifold. So I hope that we will end up with a really good and reliable technology, which gives us a lot of benefit.
Thanks, Yukin sir.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask all the panelists, specifically for organizations who are just starting to, adopt this new technology in clean utility operations. What are the first steps they should take? And I'll start with Sandeep sir, and I'll
Sure.
give you guys 1 minute each.
Yeah. So, Hussein, very important to map your current system, do a gap assessment. What is your existing system? Let's say if you're putting a new system, like you may have multiple plants, what are the learning from the existing system? So identify the gaps with that. And if you're putting the new one, and go for the experts. Sometimes like water system, we believe that we have a good knowledge on setting up the plant, and we may not able to integrate the system or design the system rightly. So I think call for experts for a design starting from black utility to clean utility. And this topic is mainly on the clean utility, all three systems, whether it is purified water, whether it is WFI and pure stream generations. What are the gaps you look forward in the past? What are the learning from that? So design it properly. Then I think set your goals, like what you're looking for, like what are the clear measurables you're looking for from the systems. So then the OEM can design the system accordingly, right? Most important part is that involve your right SMEs or right employees along with OEM from the day one, while design, while erection, while qualification and performance, rather than getting into the performance mode. So once you get involved, the absorption is much better, and once the absorption is much better, then you get rid of the mistakes. Uh, Fourth is, since it is no one gives one system, because there are three systems which is integrated to the backend. So select the right technology. I think selecting the right technology, and you cannot have like lot of out of 10 component we go five best and you go five locally, or some tailor made. So go for a right technology. That is very very important, so that you define the goals and you measure the goals appropriately, and then they are properly integrated. Change management is very very critical while doing this. So your change management, the process based on your organizations, but change management typically in water system is much similar. If I move from one organization to other organization, do a proper change management, and there has to be a project manager for execution of this. I think execution is the key in the pharma. If you don't execute rightly in time, then you don't serve the purpose, cost is increased and opportunity is lost. Implement the automations gradually, go step by step. So design, learn, understand, and then implement gradually. Suppose you have multiple plants, do it as one of the plant as feasibility, understand it, and then horizontally deployed across the plant. That's important. Continuous improvement is important, so you monitor the parameter and evaluate the performance, whether you have an IoT or you don't have an IoT. But monitoring and evolution is very, very important. And there's always scope for improvement. So always find out the gaps, like where you can improve as in systems, get an insight from system. The most important, right? You can design, you can install, but until unless you get involved, there is no absorption on the shop floor, then you will not get right benefit from that systems. You will not move to the analytics. Yeah, over to you, sir.
Yeah, Kanaya, you can go next.
Yeah, I think I echo what Sandeep just mentioned about everything. Just being slightly more technical here, the way we defined the layers of structure of how your digital journey should happen. The first step is identify what data has to be collected, because there could be enormous amount of data. So the first thing is identify what data has to be collected, have appropriate sensors and tool and technologies to ensure that data is then moved from your systems, your PLCs or your SCADA system onto a platform where it can be acquired, interpreted and analyzed, right? So once that has been done, then obviously we can build the AI and ML features into it to analyze it and then take appropriate actions. And the benefits are huge. I mean, we all have spoken about it. You have real time monitoring, you have predictive maintenance, you can troubleshoot things, you can predict things. So I think that comes after we have evolved and matured in a step by step manner in doing that. And it takes time. And obviously, as I mentioned, as soon as you entered the world of cloud, from ground to cloud, there is cybersecurity, there is OT security, which you have to be very, very cautious about, because being in the arena of regulatory market, you can't afford any cyber attacks. So that's one thing that I would advise.
Yeah, and Jochen sir,
Yeah.
you can go now.
Actually, everything has already been mentioned by the previous speakers. So, but I would limit my answer on the technology I was talking before on the bioburden analyzers. So at the moment, I think it's not, the time is not ready to use the technology for quality control, but for process control, it's quite interesting, especially when we operate more and more ambient WFI systems, especially ambient WFI storage and distribution systems. When we have periodically sanitizations, we have times where we run the systems only ambient, and therefore for process control, such a bioburden analyzer online could be very helpful to detect immediately microbiological changes in the system, and maybe to trigger sanitizations. Not have a fixed period or interval in the SOP that we sanitize every week. We check with the online bioburden analyzer what is the quality, and then maybe we run the system for 4 weeks, for 6 weeks when it's still okay. So that helps a lot, saves money and time, and reduce shutdown periods. So there are many applications, but for process control at the moment, to gain experience, to gain more results, what we get from the bioburden analyzers compared to the plate count methods, what is the plant specific factor? Is it 5 times higher than the colony forming units value, or is it 10 times higher what the counter measures? And this is plant specific. It cannot be said, it's not a general factor between CFUs and the counts measured by an bioburden analyzer. This is what we are doing at the moment in Europe in some plants, some systems. But many big multinational companies, the big pharma, is interested in the implementation, and they test it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jochen sir. So I wanted to come to our last question of the session, and this is for Sandeep sir and Kanaya sir. So how do you next 3 to 5 years, how do you expect the Indian pharmaceutical industry to move towards the broader adoption of remote monitoring technology?
Yeah, I think, Hussein, I think most important I touch base, right? One is real-time monitoring. The people have to move to the data analytics. Now, regulators also will look forward for data analytics. So, most important, how we built up the efficiency, the hot footprint reduction, like typical big water systems takes huge amount of the place. Like, so the new technology will get involved, like how I can have like vapor compressions, right? I don't need to generate a purified water. I can directly go to the WFI. So the new techniques will get evolved. Like right now, we have so many things, right? Pre-treatments, then we have ozonations, and then we have PW, then WFI, and PO stream. So maintaining all these things. So going forward, I think footprint reduction, one systems, integrations, real-time data monitoring. These are the keys, and IoT and AI. I will believe that the AI will play a very very important. We didn't talk about much on AI part, but there will be a couple of use case on the AI, how we use water system effectively, trouble free, free from contaminations, what are the predictive measure rather than prescriptive. So lot of scope for AI and IoTs going forwards. But in nutshell, I think footprint, automations, data analytics, using AI tool to address the efficiency and contamination controls. I think these are the few areas you will see evolutions will be done, and a lot of work is happening.
Yeah, Kanaya sir, what's your view on
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, I think the industry in India, the biggest challenge is about, if you see the lot of 480s and a lot of regulatory is about data integrity, right? So if it is about data integrity, the industry has to move and prove by ensuring the data is integral, and lot of experience that I mean, a lot of industry is still relying on the old paper, like batch recording is still happening on the paper based, right? So it is the time, I think the industry is moving towards digitization a lot, right? So data acquisition and digitization of data, and ensuring that data integrity is integral, and it is by design, is the trend, is going to be the trend in future, and the fast the industry moves into it, that the better it would be. And from in terms of operational efficiencies, right? The challenge again, as we move into towards from developing to developed countries, that there would be challenges in terms of manpower, resources, and operational efficiency. So technologies like robotics, and technologies in terms of how do we improve the efficiencies of the line, measurements of OEE, all this will come into play. And I think this is how the industry is moving. And I see how the rapid changes happening in the Indian industry scenario for that. Yeah. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Kanaya sir, and thank you to all the panelists for really giving us a good understanding of not only what's happening on the digitization front, but also on other technologies such as rapid microbiological methods. And we've gotten a very good understanding right from like not only the introduction but also some case studies, so to make it really real for the audience. And now I'd like to move to the audience questions part of the. So over to you, Aparna.
Thank you so much, Hussein. We've got a lot of questions. Sandeep sir, before you go, we would like you to answer one question.
Yeah.
From an Indian point of view, what are the challenges of implementing digital solutions? This is one of the questions that's come up. So if you could answer that.
And is this question respect to water system or overall any applications or any use case?
We can address it from overall perspective also. That should not be a problem.
Yeah, I think the good question, very good question. I think this is the this is has to be beginning with this, you know. So I appreciate the question. See, digital transformation start with the digital mindset. You know, what is your digital mindset of your organization or from the CEO level till I'll go from top to bottom level, right? What is your digital mindset? What do you want to achieve as an organization? That makes it doesn't matter, you know, how big you are. You're $1 billion company or $10 billion company or few $1 million company. It's important that what is your vision? Is your top management is into it? Then answer is yes. Then how you can have one stop solution rather than going for bits and pieces, right? So designing, doing a proper gap assessment is very very important. So once your digital mindset is there, then hunt for the right technology is important. Like how you differentiate and how you identify the technology which will mean for your business, because every business has a different solutions, whether it is injectable, whether it is solid oral, and even there are many processes are different. You know, there's no thumb rule for this. So what are the solutions suits to your business? But never go for multiple solution and then try to integrate, then you will land up in a problem. So identify the right solution, identify the right expert. Don't don't again I repeat that, don't feel that you have a guys within your systems and they can do everything. They can do certain things. They can go 30%, 50% mile up the target, but you really need an expert. So I think spending some investment on expert is very, very key. Don't jump into the multiple plants at a time, right? So go for one plant, go for one system, design it properly, understand it, absorb it, and deploy it across the site. So you need to plan it. What do you want to go for it? Design it properly. Identify the team. The crack team is very, very important. Digital transformation team. Whatever you do, the key people of 10 people or 5 people based on the solution with the right experts from the industry. And it's not an internal team. The team which has an internal and external expert, that's the key. And I think then you can build up the right solutions and you get a benefit of that solution in day to day business. And then you move to your data driven decisions. It's not operator specific or SME specific. Your system and your data will tell you that how system has to run. Okay. I hope that answers the question, whoever asked, but it's a good question.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. I think the point you brought about appropriateness of solution and having the right team, I believe that's really very critical. Just another question that our audience members have asked, I believe, Jochen, sir, if you can respond to that. They're asking about the data management strategies that you would recommend to ensure both data integrity as well as privacy.
You're on
Jochen,
mute.
sir, you are on mute actually.
I said it's a quite difficult question. The data integrity, of course, we have to ensure that all the data is the question concerning the bioburden control, especially, or with regard to data integrity in general.
It refers to data integrity in general.
Okay, so I think in our systems we find here in Europe all the quality relevant values are digital, are online monitored, connectivity in TOC, especially, and then they are transported, of course, to the PLC of the water system. But on the PLC of the water system, there is not the long-term storage of these quality relevant values. So we have in many systems so-called historian server, where all the quality relevant measurements were transported via bus or different connections, different protocols. And there is the long-term storage of the quality relevant data. and it means of the whole pharmaceutical water plant, not only the water plant, the whole production. The quality relevant measurements or values are on this server, and we ensure data integrity is also a big topic when we have a fail in the system or a shutdown, a short-term shutdown. We try to operate the PLC with an uninterrupted power control with a battery, that the measurement is continuously measured, so the measurement value stays. The water is measured even though the plant is not running, so we have no interruptions in the data over the time, and this helps a lot to avoid questions from the regulators. So maybe this gives an overall general hint about data integrity made in new systems currently. Yeah. So no storage of quality relevant data on the PLC or on a PC of an employee. It's an historian server. This is I would say, the gold standard at the moment.
Thank you so much. I think that's a very relevant recommendation that you've made. And this is something that's very close to my heart, me coming from the learning and development space. I would like to direct this to Kanhaiya sir. But before I ask this question, I believe Sandeep sir would like to leave for the moment. But you know what? We want the audience to keep coming up with the questions, and they can actually direct them, and Sandeep sir can respond to the questions later. I hope
Thank you,
that's fine,
Aparna.
sir.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Aparna. My apology. Thank you, Aparna, Hussein,
Thank
Kanaya,
you, sir.
and Hossein, and all the audience.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
Thank you.
learning. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Bye
Yes.
bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
So, Kanhaiya sir, just over to the question that I have for you, and I think this is something that the audience also wants to understand. With the increasing use of data analytics and digital tools, how important is it to invest in training and upskilling of the workforce? Something that's very close to me, so if you can answer that.
The first slide that I showed where the ISP talks about the operating model of Pharma 4.0, the first pillar, actually, there are two very important pillars to it, right? We can talk about hardware, we can talk about software, but it is actually the humanware that is the most critical. And if you see, the first box talks about the resources. It's about the development of the digital journey of individuals who are working, and making them aware of digitization and the improve and the changes and adaptation that one has to happen. That's the key, right? You have to develop resources who understand the digital world, who understand digitization, who have to so there is a lot of development aspect to that. And as I speak today in GSK, within the Nashik side, we are doing a lot of digital learning. I'm going through a lot of learning through the co-pilots and many other technologies that is there now happening. So that is very, very important. The second part is the culture piece, the communication and the culture. So if the communications are not important, if the culture is not embedded, like Sandeep mentioned, and the culture has to embed, everyone has to talk the same language. People sometimes say, why digitization? Well, that's the new world. If you don't adopt it, you're going to be out of the, you would be outdated. So I think it's the cultural change, the way we communicate, the language that we use. The young generations, I mean, the 10 years, 12 years, 13-year-olds now, they talk about using chat GPTs and so much of Gen AI and so much things. So if we don't start embedding that culture and communication language, I think we will fail. So that's very, very important, Aparna.
Thank you so much. I think that's something that's very close to me. Also, I completely agree with the fact that we need to speak the language which is very current. We need to have the communication also of reflecting what's very current. And I completely agree with you. Thank you so much for that. In fact, we have a lot of questions coming in, but unfortunately, we are running out of time. So what I would recommend is we can take up these questions. I can see some more questions popping in right now. But I would request our panelists to maybe respond to these questions later. Um, so apologies for that. As we conclude today's session, I would like to thank all the panelists for joining us and for sharing their valuable insights with all of us. And definitely a huge thanks to all the attendees for being a part of this webinar and making it even more engaging with so many queries which are still popping up. We hope you found this session illuminating and inspiring. We look forward to seeing you at our next event. Thank you so very much and have a great day.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And thanks to you,
Thank you so
Aparna and
much.
Hussein and Nirja and everyone in the CN Tech. A wonderful session and a lot of hard
Thank you.
work. So thank you. And thank you,
Thank
Yogan
you so
and
much.
Thank you,
Yogan
sir.
Smith. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.